Do you ever see some cursed meme laughing at a differently abled person and pretend not to laugh while simultaneously sharing it with all your other equally twisted degenerate friends? Yeah, me either, because I'm a good person and all. Do you love an amazing underdog story where even you don't really believe in the main character's ability to grow into the strength needed for him to save the day, only to be proved wrong and also realize you're kind of prejudiced? Do you love thinking you have every aspect of the plot and characters figured out because you're smarter and better than all the other mouth-breathing weebs, only to be completely bamboozled and humbled every other episode? Do you love the idea of raising your social credit score by rooting for a kid that's like the illegitimate love child of Helen Keller and Hasbulla? Do you love mirrors? Well, look no further, you beautiful beast, because I've got just the thing. In case you've been living under a rock for the last couple years, actually, I wouldn't even blame you. Let me introduce you to Ranking of Kings, one of the most wholesome and well-written anime to come out in the last few years. If you're anything like me, you saw the trailer when it first premiered in fall of 2021, thought the animation was kind of weird but cool, and then forgot about it. Then when it dropped and people were raving over how amazing it was, you felt compelled to add it to your list, only to forget about it again. Then, a few months ago, after having your heart broken again, darn you, Isayama, you felt like this quirky, adorable little boy might just be the soul-healing, feel-good ticket you needed. Yeah, and you'd be wrong. I mean, actually, you'd be right, but also kind of wrong. This is absolutely one of the most heartwarming, charming stories you'll see for a while. The main character is Bojji, the oldest and yet smallest heir to his kingdom, currently run by his literal giant of a father. There's just one problem. Well, technically 3 problems. For starters, he's a runt. Forget the fact that his dad is an actual giant. This kid is a runt even by human standards. Not only that, but the poor kid was also born deaf and mute. I'd be hard-pressed to create a more sympathetic character, and yet you never pity Bojji. And you're probably the only person that doesn't. He's surrounded by people who all believe they're good people and are protecting him, but they all end up discounting him and constantly underestimating him along the way. You see, even though he's more disabled than a stolen Tesla, he doesn't see himself as disabled. He's adapted to his unique world experience and isn't bitter or resentful at all. He's the most kind-hearted, compassionate, understanding, and forgiving person you'll ever see in fiction. He ends up getting taken advantage of quite often because of these amazing qualities. Not because he's dumb or anything, but because he's just too pure and naive for the corrupt, greedy, and wicked world he lives in. You root harder for this little munchkin than my dad rooted for my abortion. Ha! Joke's on you, old man.
Okay.
You ever hear the saying, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change? Bojji is the embodiment of this. You watch this little guy go through some of the most crazy heartbreak, betrayal, pain, and suffering, and he never loses that indomitable spirit. That's what makes him so adorable and lovable. He's just good. He's who we all wish we were. Most of us got so beat up by this world that little kid version of us wouldn't even recognize the broken shell of the person we are today. But imagine if you never lost your childhood sense of wonder and joy, and still viewed the world's glass as half full, and every person you met as deserving of your complete trust and friendship. That's Bojji. Early into the story, the kingdom sees some unexpected turmoil, and Bojji is forced into the middle of a perilous adventure to save himself, his family, and his kingdom. As his journey begins, we meet the unexpected BFF who becomes the ultimate ride-or-die homie. The two of them set off on a perilous journey to save his kingdom and discover how massive and dangerous his world really is. Along the way, he discovers an inner strength that he never knew he could obtain, and you find yourself more excited about it than even the main characters. The surrounding characters are well written and complex. They all have their own motives, and very few characters are truly evil, but rather flawed or broken. As the story unravels more and more, there are twists and turns, some of which you definitely won't see coming. They aren't arbitrary either, but serve to deepen the plot, sow further intrigue, and make the characters more relatable. The art style is very unique, but it's deceptively good, especially with the lighting, expressions, and action scenes. There's also a lot of warped or forced perspective shots that are just so cool. The studio really did a great job of taking this childish-looking animation style and making it feel so immersive, fun, and lively at the same time, to the point of almost being a flex. Okay, so we gotta talk about the music, because holy cow, the music is just so good. The first opening song is whimsical and instantly earned a spot on the playlist. The ending song is done by Yama, the same musical angel that you might know from the Spy Family ending. I also loved how the music in the second half of the show transitioned to a more serious and weighted feel to match the progression of the story. And the story has everything you want in a great fantasy adventure / coming of age anime. You want an iceberg style story where you're constantly finding yourself pleasantly surprised at how much deeper it goes? You want an awesome bromance friendship that's stronger than my grip on sanity? You got it, Chief. You want an underdog story with exciting training arcs and untapped potential? You got that too. You want tons of fan service? Well, you little degenerate, there isn't any to be found. And that's one of my favorite things and the most impressive aspect of this show. It perfectly balances serious subjects like death, grieving, obligation and duty, betrayal and forgiveness, while also being wholesome and charming. It never loses sight of itself, and that's a feat in itself. There's so many moral and life lessons to be learned by this endearing story, but it never becomes preachy or heavy-handed. It shows more than it tells, and you can't help but find yourself naturally inspired by Bojji. There's something special and yet genuine about him, and those are the kinds of people that end up having a true impact on us. Is it a perfect anime? Of course not, but it's pretty darn close. There's one thing I didn't really like, but it's a huge spoiler, so I can't cover it here. I'm making another video that's more of a deep dive into the specific reasons why I love this show and also why it's still flawed. But as I said, it'll have massive spoilers, so don't say I didn't warn you. But if you love amazing underdog stories with interesting and complex characters, a deceptively deep plot, and an inspiring and absolutely adorable main character, then Ranking of Kings is for you. If you love this show or have a suggestion of a show you think is underrated, let me know in the comments. Take care, and have a great day, you beautiful beasts.